What's going on, everybody? Kenny here, also known as Silent85. Welcome to a gamer log, so to speak. I wanted to talk about DC, more specifically Superman. I got into a discussion with a friend recently, a couple of nerds, just kind of verbally, giving each other's opinion and talking and what they liked about Superman, what they like about other Supermen. Especially given over the years, we've had so many Superman as well as Batman, and Marvel's got it pretty set right now because there's really not a history there. There has been one in the last 10 years with Iron Man and whatnot, but they haven't really had a cycle of other people playing other heroes. Not that I can think of. The only person that comes to mind is um, Captain America. He recently played. Um, I'm so bad with Fantastic Four names. Anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. He played um, the fire character. My brain is just gone from work today. But anyway, I think that's about the closest they've had when it comes to somebody playing one hero and then playing another one, or having a hero change names. DC is no stranger to that. Obviously, we've had more than our share of Batman over the years. We've had more than our share of Superman over the years. We're entering a new era where we're seeing Aquaman on the big screen, Wonder Woman on the big screen. And unfortunately, I believe that DC may fall into that pit hole again of seeing new names come about. I was really hoping that with this recent Snyder era and Snyder's blueprint for everything, the core of everything that's been going on, we would have had some long consistency in it. But unfortunately, due to studio drama and due to DC being taken over by different people, we're not going to really see that. We did for a while, which is great, and we're seeing glimpses of the consistency throughout, like Shazam, but we're going to see that with Aquaman, we're going to see it with the Flash and everything. So that looks to be pretty cool. So I am thankful for what I got. I'm very thankful for what I got. And with the Flash, we're going to be looking at a reset of that. We're going to be seeing a reset of what's going on, what's coming up, and what happened previously. And I dig it. I dig it. But one of the questions and one of the things you encounter as either a comic nerd, a movie nerd, a game nerd, whatnot, when it comes to a long history of something you love and something that you grew up on, especially, you become almost religious about it. You have these expectations that you want to see things a certain way. And there's also, especially in the era of the internet, you've also got a lot of people that are very toxic when it comes to what they want to see. And the reason I use the word religious is because these are set things and set requirements that these people live by. They swear by it. They will die on a hill because that's the way it is and that's the way it should be. I think this is a little bit of a folly because much like gaming, much like books, much like movies, much like media, much like humanity. I mean, I'm always preaching this. Things evolve, things change. Personally, I love to see a variety. I have my times to where, like, I love what's happening now. I hate to see it change, but eventually change does come, and I accept it because I'm a nerd. To me, mentally, the TV shows, the movies, the video games, anything related to the DC property, because I'm a DC fanboy, I see it as a multiverse. Every director's vision, every writer's vision, every game developer's vision, so on and so forth. It's all part of one big multiverse that I get to experience. I'm a bit of a movie baby. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a few comics growing up, but I'm a bit of a movie baby. It wasn't until movies. It wasn't until Batman 1989. It wasn't until Batman on Sega Genesis that I really started diving into DC because, to be honest, I was kind of tortured as a kid. I was abused. So I clicked with the dark and gritty. I clicked with the man on a mission to serve justice to those who deserved it, and who was hunting down those that were failed by the system, or by a corrupt system or whatnot, or who was hurt by loved ones and nobody would help them, and that's why I was clicked with Batman. So that's really where my love for DC stemmed from. It was very personal. And that's where it is with a lot of fans of comic books and movies and TV and video games. We find hope in all this. We click with it. We recognize it. Um, and when Batman has always been dark and gritty, but when it comes to Superman, he's always been hopeful. There's always been a light there. He's always been the standard that's above our own society, and he's something to reach for. And that's great. I like that. But what I really enjoyed about the previous era is that it really focused, and it's one of the reasons why I love Smallville for a long time. Um, I really haven't watched it lately, but what I love is a good mix of hope and a good mix of reality. It's funny because I didn't, and I'll admit this, I'm not the biggest, and man, might get flamed for this. I'm not the biggest Adam West fan. I'm also not the biggest Christopher Reeves guy. Don't get me wrong, he was good for his era. He was great. Um, but I like the mix of a bit of a tortured Superman, and that may sound horrible, but look, he is. I mean, he's an alien come to Earth. He's raised his humanity, so he's in conflict with his alien part and with his human part, because his human part is trained, grown up in a human society, but he's not really human. So he has these other standards that not even humans can help him with. Obviously, he has his father's knowledge obtained through a crystal, depending on what story you're reading, or he doesn't. He doesn't land in America. He lands in Russia. He'll land in another part of the country, be raised in different standards. And that's the experiment of it all when it comes to Superman. And that's why I think Superman is like a comet. He can land anywhere because he is not of Earth. He's an alien. Um, so he's able to see humanity as a whole. He's able to literally, like X-ray vision, 20 different types of vision, speed, all kinds of stuff. He is the ultimate superhero. He's the grandfather of superheroes. And he is a hero for the ages that will see very many incarnations already throughout comics. We have yet to see it in video games. I'm very hopeful for that. Unfortunately, because Superman 64, it's going to be a while, but whatever. But with that said, there actually was, a couple of games. Justice League Heroes, I believe, back on PlayStation 2. There was a couple of DC top-down RPGs. And I don't know. They were pretty good. They weren't too bad. But I'm hoping we get a, total open world Superman game at some point. It'd be great. And one thing that I would love to see is Hulk PlayStation 2 Ultimate Destruction. Best hero game ever to me. Aside from the Arkham series, obviously. The Spider-Man games are good and I love them, but I always had a problem. And I love the story. I stick to it. But I always had a problem with the combat system because of my ADHD. It's very hard to focus, and it's over here, over here, over here, over here. It drove me nuts. Arkham kind of presented that challenge, but I got used to the combat system pretty easily. Although, to be honest, in some ways they're kind of the same, just different, obviously different A to B mechanics. But anyway, that's the whole thing about superheroes, though, man. Much like religious icons, much like politicians that are actually decent and can give us hope, much like the people in our lives. These are characters and these are representations of what we either click with, what we hope to be, what we like to see, something we're total opposite to. And I just love to see different iterations of these characters throughout our age. And I'm very thankful to be living in this age. There are times I feel like a man out of time because I really want to see the future. I want to see what we come up with when it comes to this. I also really want to see how these characters are seen, if at all, 1,000 to 2,000 years from now. Because I've always had this wild theory that some of these heroes will be found. A lot of the media may be lost over the ages, maybe because of a digital dark age. We lose a bunch of this stuff, like even this video. And they find comic books that have been lost, have been sealed away for some reason. Again, it sounds like a movie, but it can happen. And the Dead Sea Scrolls, for instance, that's a thing right there. But we're obviously a global civilization now. We're not entrenched in one area of the world. But but again, if they were to be found, there would be ancient manuscripts. How would people see these? How would they view them? Would they be viewed as these literary characters, or would they eventually be read by, let's say, a bit of an ignorant society and taken as these are gods, these are ancient gods that lived, and we must worship them, we must give praise because they helped save these people, our ancestors that are represented in these drawings? It blows my mind, and I would love to see that. I would love to see that. It'd be awesome. And, maybe I will. You know, maybe at some point, I'll be able to see that through some sort of spiritual scope or whatever. As I return to the planet, my energy returns to the planet, and maybe I'm reincarnated. I don't know. Look, I won't get into all that, but that is something that would be really cool to see if I could be immortal for a time, or even live to be 3,000 years old. It'd be awesome to see how society evolves and what we do with our literary. And if history has taught us anything, ancient texts can be taken in certain ways and can be translated to something that we want it to be. So it's interesting to think about. But anyway, with that said, I just wanted to make this because it got me thinking. It got my mental juices flowing. And this is how I am, a bit as a fanboy. I have my periods where I'm very hardcore. I'm very like, how I was with gaming back in the day. Like, if you play on a phone, you're not a real gamer. If you play on Facebook, you're not a real gamer. We all have our standards coming up, but I'm 38 now. And I'm seeing these different things as they go on throughout the years. And I'm just like, I love this. I love seeing all these different visions of how people see this character, of how the generations see this character. Even if they don't click with everybody, you will never have, and I say that even with, favorite Marvel characters, you will never have a perfect hero. I'll say that again. You will never have a perfect hero. And that's going based off people's views of how they see a character, or if they even know about the character. But to me, the ultimate hero that comes the closest is myself. That may sound a bit egotistical, but I see myself in these characters, and that's how I click with it. I have pops for characters that I click with, that I love. I don't collect pops just to collect pops. These represent parts of my childhood that I loved, that gave me hope, that I loved reading about. I gleaned a lot of information from video games, comic books, movies, TV shows, because my upbringing was fairly rough in certain regards, and it was hard to learn things at public school because of mental challenges and all kinds of stuff. And these characters and these stories gave me hope. They gave me hope. But obviously, at some point in your life, you got to realize these are just characters. These are just characters that are written by human beings, and they use their own experiences drawn from their own life to create these stories. As some element happened to them, and that's what started this. That's what started them on the road to create these stories, to write these characters. And it's total fiction. That's the key. It's total fiction. So some of them are very plausible. They're very dark, gritty, down-to-earth comics, graphic novels, movies, games, TV shows. But then on the other end of it, flights of fancy. It'll never happen. But there's also those comics and mediums that are in between. They're a good mix. And that's what I love to see the most. But with that said, I love the range as well. I love the spectrum. I adore it because it's awesome, and it represents what humanity is capable of writing and showing. How our imagination and our experiences in our heart can really influence the mix. And it's amazing. Anyway, stay safe, stay sane. Remember, you're awesome. Never let the world tell you otherwise. And I'll see you later. Peace.